Good morning. Welcome to Promote, Profit, Publish. I'm so glad to have all of you here listening. Don't forget, before we get started, to go over and take our Promote, Profit, Publish quiz and find out where your skills lie and what you still need to put in place before you publish to be able to monetize your books, products, and services. You can find that at www.promoteprofitpublishquiz.com. Today's guest, I'm really excited about. We've had her before, but we're going to talk about something that every person who has a book and a business needs today, and that is how to get your own publicity. Shannon Gronich has successfully attained over 3.2 million in free publicity and is notorious. She is notorious. I know her. She's notorious for being the owner of the $1 Million Rolodex and teaching others how to do the same. She's trained and coached thousands of individuals in marketing, event production, business development, and personal growth. Shannon is the creator of the magnetic community called the Business Acceleration Network, where she guides businesses to build a successful enterprise while having fun and making lots of money. She brings together social entrepreneurs, visionaries, and new thought leaders that want to collaborate, create a better world, and focus on prosperity so that they can pay it forward to make a positive impact. She appeared on television, radio, and the press and has co-authored The Law of Business Attraction, The Secret of Cooperative Success, an Amazon #1 bestseller with T. Harv Eker. I can't talk today, of the $1 Million Mind, or the Million Mind. Join this high energy networking experience as she shares her 5 strategies to thrive in any economy. And it actually says remove the final sentence. So I take that back. We are not going to talk about the 5 strategies to thrive in any economy. Wow. So what else can we mess up today, Shannon? And welcome.
Thank you, Juliet. I'm so honored and excited to be here. You attract amazing people, and I love that you help get messages to the masses for authors and coaches.
Well, thank you. I love what you do too. So let's just jump right in here. Can you tell us what the 6 essentials are of a press kit? Because I will tell you that is my #1 peeve, is when I ask someone to be on, a show or a blog or a vlog and they drip the information to
Yes. So the press kit, it's really important to be ready with the 6 essentials. The first thing is your power bio, your expert power bio. That shares your story, your strengths. It could be prior clients you've worked with, but you want it to have a little bit of sizzle so that you can stand out. Then we want to have a press release that's ready to go, something that is in a format that has them pay attention, notice, and stay out of the trash of the editors and viewers. Also, the articles or any media about you, anything that you've done in the past. And if you haven't done anything in the past, that's fine. That's why you're here listening to Juliet today, because getting free publicity is easy when you know how. There's actually thousands of dollars out there waiting for everybody to take advantage of it. Then there is articles that you've written. So one is things that have been written about you or stories about you, but then there's things that you may have contributed. It could be an article, it could be a particular blog or something that you've contributed. Then action photos. Action photos are key. And I learned this, Juliet, the hard way, because we hear have headshots, have up-to-date headshots, which is key. But I remember sending in a headshot. It was a great press release. They loved the story. And when I sent in the photo and saw that they printed it, all that they printed was the article. And I'm like, what happened? And then I learned that they love action photos. So action photos could be me and you standing next to each other, pointing at a brochure. It could be with a mic talking to an audience. There's lots of ways of putting yourself into action in those photos.
That has me worried now. I just had a photo shoot and they had me dance. And believe me when I say middle-aged white women should not dance without alcohol. So now you've got me frightened.
No, you'll be good. Yes, it's amazing what can happen with photos and all of how you can use them to be magnetic. But Juliet, we have a lot of pictures of you from the last event that we did where you were in action.
Yeah.
And then your company marketing material. So we always look at business cards, brochures. If you're a speaker, your speaker sheet. So all of those are company marketing material that you want to have ready. So those are the 6 essentials of a press kit.
Oh, that's great. And so when you put that press kit together, and if I call you and I say, Shannon, I'd love you to be on, it should be in a zip file that you can just attach to an email and go, right?
Yes. So I do a couple of things. I have mine in a Google Drive. So I have my photo, I have my bio, I have links to things in the past. So that's one place, but I also suggest people put it on their website. And so one of my websites I have in the buzz or the buzz or in the media. So it's great to have those essentials also on your website so that when people are looking at you, it adds that third party validation of what you've accomplished.
Nice. Very nice. So what's the quickest way to get publicity?
So I always focus on these 3 aspects when I'm looking at publicity. So education is one. Community give back is another, so that could be cause marketing, it could be a partnership with a nonprofit, and then the third one is human interest stories. So the first thing is figuring out what is that story that you want to contribute. And from there, developing a press release. And Juliet, I'm going to share with them my press release formula, if that's okay, because it totally makes you stand out. Because right now, a lot of editors, they get what we call an Associated Press style press release, which is great. It works. This style is 1 page, double spaced. I don't do any logos whatsoever because the way that you get this press release noticed is because it's not looking like advertising. And when they see something on 1 page double spaced, because most people crunch all the words together and there's lots of text, they can't help but look at it. So we always do the tagline at the very top, and that's essential. You want to find something that sizzles, that stands out. Education is usually fairly easy. It could be 6 steps to do this, 9 strategies to do that. I use numbers. You don't always have to use numbers, but numbers tend to, and they've done research, that tends to get people to pick it up or read it more so than some of the other taglines that sizzle. To create taglines, I'm going to go ahead and give another thing, and then I'll finish the press release thing.
All right, no hurry.
Okay, good.
We have all day. It'll be a 3-hour podcast this week.
So to create taglines, I have a couple of strategies that are great. And this is not just for press release. You can use taglines in emails. You can put it on websites. These are those statements that stand out and have people look at it and say, I want to know more. So I love the HubSpot blog title generator. HubSpot blog title generator. You can just Google it. It's awesome. You can put in 3 nouns and then they come up with all these different titles, and these are things that people will open and pay attention. So that's one way. And then also, are you taking notes?
That when you talked, HubSpot generator.
Yes.
Generator. Okay.
And then also
taking notes too.
Also, when you go shopping next time, look at Oprah and look at Cosmo and look at those magazines, because all of them have spent billions of dollars in creating taglines to make sure that they get buyers. And just start putting in your topic, your title. Play this game of how do I make this about my product or service. So those are 2 strategies that I've used to develop taglines that sizzle, or subject lines is another term for it. Then that first paragraph is where we talk about the problem, and it's usually 2 or 3 sentences. And this is where Google becomes your friend. You want to quote stats, numbers, and the source, because if you can get a credible source, then that really makes it stand out. So the idea here is to create that story that gets attention, that gets noticed. And then the next paragraph is where you quote yourself as an expert and you start talking about the solution that you're providing. And then the third paragraph is the call to action, and the bottom is your contact information. And so when you quote yourself, another key thing is not to, like I wouldn't say Juliet is the rock star, branding expert, her company name, I would say branding expert or author, something very general, because we want it to appear as a story, not free advertising.
Right.
Just want
Oh,
to
you
do.
have to be humble. That's so hard. No.
Well, what they do, what I love about this press release format, because I have somebody that also writes Associated Press releases for me, and I use them, and they're great. But what happens with this almost 90% of the time is they do an interview or an article. And so they actually write about you, and they do end up telling your story. Does that make sense? It ends up being way more. So in this case, giving them less turns out to be more.
Okay.
So that's the first thing, is creating promotional buzz, getting that story, putting that press release together, and contacting the media.
Okay. So I guess the benefit of this too is for you people who are into icons at the bottom or on your website. If they pick up these stories, you get to put those credibility icons on your site as well, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
Very nice. Very, very nice.
And I know, so I just started a new event 3 years ago, the Business Acceleration Network. And so I immediately started targeting the local media. And for me, it helped me get sponsors, because they got to see that our newspaper and radio and all of the promotional buzz. So especially for a new company or a new author, you can really leverage that to get people to invest, to get people to participate. That third-party credibility is really a great way to accelerate your growth.
Oh yes, and I must pump the business acceleration at sea. So if you guys want to go on a cruise and write the entire thing off because you're on business, this is the way to go. She has it every year. It was really fun this year. We went to Cozumel, Haiti, and Jamaica. Next year, something else is on tap. So keep that in mind too, because it's not very, very often you get to write off a vacation.
Yes. Yeah. And learn and grow and get really connected. And I do talk about media magic there. So
yeah, she did. She talked a lot about it. So how do you create, what do people need to have in place to attract the media?
So they want to, obviously, it's great to have that power bio and the press release ready to go. So I'm going to talk just for a minute about the power bio, because that tends to be what is difficult for people to write about themselves. Sometimes we don't think it's relevant what we did in our past to what we're doing right now. We kind of discard that. And the power bio is something that has allowed me, I use it when I'm sharing proposals, when I'm sending things into the media. That way they will pay attention. It helps get speaking gigs. Also helps clients say yes, because it's a story of successes and things that I've accomplished or how I can help them. So that expert power bio is really, I think, something that I've seen businesses kind of springboard off of that if they use it properly. And then the press releases I went over, when you're contacting the media, you really want to start, developing your media list. We hear, and I know, Juliet, you are a master at helping people get those leads and those qualified leads. And that is gold. Like, to work with somebody like you, Juliet, that is gold, to be able to get those qualified leads and build your database. And that's incredible when you're selling your company and you're looking at acquisition. They want to know how many contacts. I know at my events, if somebody wants to speak, I want to know how many people are on their list. So that aspect, Juliet, is key. I think also your media list and your media contacts can be just as valuable. So I always encourage people to start looking at, what are the local magazines in your area? What are the TV shows? Radio shows, and start developing that media list and those relationships. I love going to fundraisers in my area, because some of these fundraisers, they have the major media emceeing, and so you get to talk to them directly when they're outside of the production side and connect with them. So building that media list and start asking people, who do you know in the media? Who do you know that has a radio show? Who do you know that has a podcast like Juliet? So building that list is key, because once you have these key pieces together, then you've got to get out there. You've got to pick up the phone, submit the information, and you want to learn not to fire hose. And fire hose means just overloading them with information. And I know this is the one challenge that I've had. And I know when we're excited about what we're doing, we tend to want to talk a lot about it. And this is where we need, I tell clients, set a timer so that when you're on the phone with the media that you can see, like, don't talk more than 15 or 30 seconds. Like, answer the question directly instead of going into a story, because you want them to draw out of you the information they want. I remember being in an interview with somebody and I got him free publicity. We got him on the phone. It was really great. They were doing the interview and he did not stop talking for 45 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And so if they say, what's the story about? So even though I've done this a ton of times, Juliet, the system is the same, unless I know the person. And if I know the person, I call and say, hey, I've got another great story. But I contact the media and say, I have a story that I think your readers or listeners might be interested in. But I'm not sure where to send it or where can I provide some information. Mm-hmm. I usually call before, but you can call after. I've just found before making that initial contact and asking them how, what's the subject line you want, or who should I send this to? And I'd like to follow up in a couple days, or I'm going to follow up and see if there's any questions. So building that relationship and getting it out there. And I just usually tell them the tagline. They say, what's it about? I'll give them that top sentence and then I'll be quiet. And then I let them kind of pull the information out of me and be really mindful not to fire hose them.
Yeah, that's a great tip. One of our friends owns a production. You and I have a mutual friend who does preps people for TV. And she said that's huge on there too, because you have to answer succinctly when you're asked. It's not a dialogue or, you're not taking over the show. It'll happen once and then you'll never get asked back. So that's really, really good advice to use as well. What are your thoughts about those local magazines who charge for articles? Would you suggest investing in those or not?
So I always look holistically when I'm investing in marketing. And marketing is, if you're spending money right now on any sort of marketing, and Juliet, I know I'm not answering your question directly, but I will get there. If you're spending money, because I just told her to answer the question. If you're spending money, these strategies are so powerful to expand your dollars. I mean, it's awesome. If you're spending anything, definitely look at Media and Magic to get more. So when I'm looking at a magazine, I always find out how many copies do they print. Like, they'll tell you how many readers they have, but that's different than how many they actually print. Okay. So I find out how do they distribute it? How many do they print? Having a real clear call to action. Articles are great. And I have been a part of, I did an exchange one time where they're like, we'll give you this $2,000 article. And it was wonderful. It actually helped me leverage some things in our community that I needed to be positioned in that magazine. Now, the strategies I'm teaching you, though, are creating a story that many times they just want the story because it's educational piece, it's, human interest, or it's some sort of community give back. Mm-hmm. So I don't say, no, don't do it, but I say, look at it holistically and see, are you going to get the results, and how can you ensure that? Not just off of their word. You want to really dive in deep on what, is it your marketplace? And when I'm marketing or paying for marketing, I also ask for more. Can I get an ad with that? Do you mind making any personal introductions to people that might be this is a big investment. This, whatever it is, let's say it's $2,000. This $2,000 is a pretty big investment. I love your magazine. I think it would be great. But are you, is there some key people that you might make some introductions to that could help me make sure that this is an investment that gets a return? And that works for events too, Juliet. I know that you go and speak at events and some of your listeners. if I'm sponsoring or there's any sort of investment in it, I always ask, what else? What else is possible? I'll plant seeds. Can I do this? Because it's amazing what we can get if we ask.
Well, not only that, I think you and I had a conversation recently about asking other people who had been sponsors at those events what their results were as well, because quite often the organizer will overplay their hand. And when you put out a lot of money, that can be a very disappointing experience to come back empty-handed from something like that. So be sure you ask, who sponsored your event last year? Because you always have to be curious about why those sponsors aren't returning, I think. Because if you get someone that's really great to sponsor, you're going to keep sponsoring them because you're getting more and more business. So I think that's another aspect of it. Ask about last year's sponsors, and also query those and find out from those sponsors why they're not re-upping or what kind of results they're getting as well.
Yeah, and I've found that it's not always the numbers game. Like some people say, oh, there's 300 people in the audience, but there's, again, you have to look at the whole aspect of how much stage time do I have? Am I going to be able to meet with anybody? And those personal introductions to me, I think are really great from a producer standpoint that you always want to ask for. Who do you know that I can talk to really make sure that this works well?
Yeah. And sometimes, my experience has been sometimes the smaller rooms have more gold in them because they're niched down into exactly what you need. So, you can go to a room with 200 people and not walk away with as much as you do of a concentrated 30 or 40 room people. So
I have to share something about it. I remember, so I've produced conferences where we've had 200 attendees, and so that's been kind of my bar. So when I have smaller events that are under 100, sometimes I feel like not adequate. And I remember having a keynote speaker flying in and was a little nervous. And I said, look, I just want to give you an opt-out because we only have 75 people registered. And I know that, you usually speak in front of hundreds of people. And it was so incredible because they said, your event has influencers, and I count each of those influencers as 10 people.
Oh,
and so,
wow.
Yeah, and I was like, wow. And he goes, I will absolutely be there because those influencers are the ones that, they can impact more people. So it may not be exactly who's in the room, the number of people in the room, it's who's in the room that can help you get your message out.
That's a really great point. So how do you create buzz on your products and services?
So creating buzz is getting out there and taking time to do media magic. Like it really, really works. I remember when I first cracked this code, I wrote a press release titled 85 Ways to Improve Your Health in 6 Hours or Less. We had 85 expo booths. It was a 6-hour show. We wrote the press release in the format that I told you. And what happened was I ended up submitting this to all of the local media, and it picked it up. We had at least 10 to 12 local media pick up the story. Some interviewed, some just cut and paste. But our event went from 500 to 2,000 attendees with one press release, getting multiple mediums. So it's really spending time and getting that story that's going to inspire people. I mean, this was just a trade show, as you heard me say. It was just expo. It was an expo, a health show. But because we had that tagline that sizzled, we also talked about the problem right up front of what's happening with healthcare in America and empowering others, that it was a story that the media was looking for. So that's one thing. And when you're looking at your press release to create buzz is piggybacking on other buzz. Like, look what's happening in the news now. Look what's happening in the media now. And if there's anything that you can piggyback on, then that can just take you to the next level.
Right. Very good. So tell us where we can find your book, Media Magic, and what can we find out in it? What are we going to learn from this book?
Okay, so this book is everything that you need to go out and get thousands of dollars in free press. It has press release templates. It has the How to Create Power Bio. It has 100 of the most powerful words in the human language to develop the Power Bio and put in your press release. I have friends that they've brought their book into me and it's all beaten up because they use just that power word section. It's really a workbook. It also has a way to help your language talk in the form of benefits instead of features. So there's some language coaching in there. I have 4 other experts. I have an individual that is a speaking coach that teaches you, once you get on the radio, how do you communicate in a way that gets the results. I also have an internet expert on there. I have Jay Abraham's copywriter, ghostwriter, is one of the contributors. And this woman was on the receiving end of the media. So her write-up or her chapter is really great. And also anybody that gets the book, Juliet, I'm gifting them a copy of Jay Abraham's Ghostwriter's Secrets. She has a language of prosperity. Yes. So they do it on Amazon. They just need to send me, email me their receipt, or if they go to my website and order it at shannongronich.com, they'll get it instantly, that training. And I need to send it to you, Juliet. I'll do that.
That's awesome. You do need to send it to me.
Yes, I will.
Could you spell Gronich for them, please? Because I spell it wrong all the time. So
it's Gronich.
So they can go to www.shannongronich.com to get the book and get that free ghostwriting. Is it ghostwriting or copywriting?
So she teaches copywriting secrets, but she was Jay Abraham's ghostwriter. So she's really good. If you don't know Jay Abraham gets 6 figures a day to go into companies and help them with their marketing.
Wow. I need to be that. No.
Oh, Juliet, you've given strategies that are worth, you're a rock star. You were here helping my husband, and I was like, wow, the information that you have in the publishing and marketing, anybody that works with you is very fortunate.
Well, great. Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, thank you so much for being on here today. We really appreciate it. Gosh, that was a lot of information, you guys. I would suggest you listen to this a couple times and definitely go out and get the book. I just actually shared this book at an event last night, and I made everybody, I took a pause and made everybody write it down, and people came up afterwards again and said, can I see that? I want to make sure I've got the right book. I was looking it up on Amazon while you were talking. So definitely go over and get that book and take advantage of all these fabulous tips. You have a program that goes with this as well, don't you? Is there a next step?
Yes, so I have a 60-day program. It's an 8-week program where there's a group. Actually, you get modules every week. In the modules has 3 training videos. Then we have a group connection, and then I also meet with them one-on-one. It includes a press release review. And then I give you tickets to my annual Media Magic event where we work with you side by side, completing your press kit. And we even bring in key media people here to help you and share directly from them what they're looking for and how to get it in there.
Oh, cool. And she lives in Melbourne, Florida. So it's a nice place to visit for an event. So thank you very much, Shannon.
Thank you.